Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time we're going to be checking out Soviet Panda 91 having probably the game of his life in the T-28E F-30. Now what is the T-28E F-30? Well, this is a tank that Wargaming released, I think back in December of last year, which is basically like an old school T-28. Well, what do you mean an old school T-28? Well, if you want to find out more about that, I've done a full Is It Worth It video on this tank that fully discusses that, but basically just in a nutshell, the T-28 used to have a 85mm gun on the same one that you get on the KV-1, the Tier 5 Soviet heavy tank. They removed it for balancing reasons, but the vehicle still is pretty darn good with a choice of either a 57mm or a 76mm. I personally prefer using the 57mm on the standard T-28. So anyway, Wargaming brought this tank back. They made it a premium. They made it a hell of a lot slower. They reduced its DPM compared to its lower caliber guns. But they also gave it 50mm of frontal armor, which is way better than on the standard T-28, meaning that this tank is kind of more like what you would expect the start of the Soviet heavy line would be like. The KV-1 is such a slow tank with a gun that can really change the impact of the game. And the T-28E F-30 is exactly the same. It has a very meaty gun, and as we're going to see through this replay, it pretty much takes away half your hit points of equal and lower tiered vehicles. There is a Grant. That's a Tier 4 British medium tank, unless I'm mistaken. Gosh, I'm not very good at these low tiers. Yes, it is. Basically, the ugly brother of a Lee. I'm not sure if you can have an ugly brother of a Lee, considering that's already a horrendous vehicle. But the T-28E F-30 manages to two-shot it, and now he's going to town on this Tier 4 French heavy tank, which he shuts down with 3 penetrating shots. The alpha damage on this 85mm is 160, and the penetration on the standard rounds 120, and if you really need it, the APCR rounds have got 161mm of penetration. So Soviet Panda is making use of the changes on Sacred Valley, right? He can now go left, he doesn't have to go right, and so that allows him to get into position to start shutting down the DW2. Now fair enough, this is a very nice matchup for the T-28E F-30, that's a bit of a mouthful. I'm just going to be calling this the T-28 from now on. So yeah, this is a really nice matchup for this tank, so it's not surprising that he's already picked up 5 kills, but then again, this is kind of surprising. It's very easy to brush over the fact that he's able to do 1,500 damage in just over 2.5 minutes in this game, against quite a lot of equal-tiered opponents. Soviet Panda hasn't really made a mistake with his marksmanship so far. He's been driving his tank correctly, and he's only taken 1 hit, which was blocked by the 50mm of frontal armor that this vehicle gets. Good night, AMX-40. This truly is it probably is the weirdest kind of Tier 4 premium. I really loved this tank when I talked about my Is It Worth It video. I recommended that if you're interested in this kind of thing, it's worth picking up. But of course, the challenge at low tier is not very good for experienced players. And Soviet Panda is an experienced player. He's played 15,000 games of World of Tanks. But I tell you what, he's probably kind of enjoying this, right? Destroying all of these inexperienced players at low tier, just picking them apart one by one as he shuts down the looks on the enemy team there. Thinking about it, that was a very nice matchup for the looks. That's a Tier 4 German light tank. If I manage to have a looks in this matchup, with the possibility of having that little autoloader that does 300 damage a magazine, gosh, that would be a terror in this kind of a matchup. He finally takes a penetrating shot from Armada 2 on the enemy team, goes over the ridgeline, showcases that this tank has really bad gun depression, 5 degrees, and if you're playing against this tank, you should definitely take advantage of that. But still, he takes a hit, 105 damage, he's still got 275 hit points left to secure his 8th kill of the round. And finally, let's have a little round of applause. His team finally manages to pick up a kill. Congratulations to the AMX-40 on his team for securing 1 for the team. Is Soviet Panda really going to be able to secure the other 6? Well, you guys are just going to have to wait and see. Especially with all the heartbreaks. I don't even tell you about the heartbreaks anymore. Do you guys like that, by the way? Do you like it when the thumbnail and the title are either not obvious, or sometimes we've even got to that case of tricking you? You guys are going to have to wait to see what happens here. So Soviet Panda now finds the Cruiser 4 on the enemy team, puts a good shot into it, takes it down, and I wouldn't feel too bad about shooting that Cruiser 4. It's obvious that he is well, either that or he is the second coming of the tank god. Maybe some kind of Serb in a future life, reborn into World of Tanks. Or he is a Smurf. Very likely to be a Smurf. 65% wins and he hasn't even played 1,000 games. Gosh, I wish I had stats that good even after having played 35,000 games of World of Tanks, eh? So, Soviet Panda shuts down another 2 tanks casually. The kills just seem to be coming in freely. He is just obliterating his opponents. He does take another hit there, however. By the way, that's one way to fix the damage log at the bottom left-hand corner of my mod pack. If you see that it's broken, you can just press tab a couple of times to get it back on your screen. Talking about mod packs, a lot of you were very unhappy in the last week, considering that my mod pack prevented you guys from being able to purchase tanks when Wargaming released their 9.14.1 hotfix. I have now updated the mod pack. You can find it on the same video. So the Chihar gets a good shot into him. Oh, disaster! The first miss for Soviet Panda there. Luckily here, the front of his tank bounces another shell, and he's able to shut down the Chihar on the enemy team. He was in a 1 versus 3 situation, now reducing it to a 1 versus 2. Soviet Panda, 91, has nearly got 2,000 damage in a tier 4 game. You know what? Many people are happy with that in a tier 8 game, Soviet Panda. How about you leave a little for your allies, right? Well, I don't think you would have won this game if you had left a little for your allies. Again, only a sole kill for his team. The other 14 players on his team all dead now. 1 kill between them. Soviet Panda shuts down the Panzer IIIA there, securing his 13th. Is that an unlucky number for Soviet Panda? We're going to have to find out momentarily, because he is now against a Marder 2 on the enemy team. And the Marder 2 has played a lot of games. He's got 50% wins and 6,000 games played. Looks like he likes to play in a platoon with the other Marder. He's going to be trying to get revenge for his buddy who was on 4 kills earlier on before Soviet Panda shut him down. Or it's personal now. It's personal for the Marder 2 on the enemy team. So, what is the best bet for Soviet Panda to be able to handle this 1 versus 1? Well, firstly, you have to think about what the alpha damage is of the enemy tank. And for the Marder 2, that is, I think, over 100. I'm pretty sure it's something like 110 or 115, I believe. Not 100% sure. I think that is the first German tank destroyer that manages to get a 75mm. This shows you how much I play low tiers, guys. Anyway, I think it's got about 100, over 100 alpha damage, and so that means that Soviet Panda is not likely to be able to take a hit multiple times. Oh gosh, Soviet Panda gets spotted. He's got to make some evasive maneuvers. Where is the Marder? Where could he possibly be? Is he going to be down? Is he going to be up? Gosh, Soviet Panda anyway gets himself into the ditch, and I bet you right now he thinks that the Marder is going to be hunting for him, right? He's been spotted. It's obvious that the Marder knows where he went, because he wouldn't have become unspotted between the period that he saw him and he didn't now. But what I'm trying to say is that the Marder 2 knows that Soviet Panda went into the dip, so he's trying to get himself into a position. I think Soviet Panda is starting to panic a little bit, or maybe not. Maybe he is prepared. One thing we should also mention is that Soviet Panda has loaded a high explosive shell, because that's the second step of winning these 1 versus 1 situations at the end of the game. You have to think about how many hit points your opponent has. And with XVM, we can see that the Marder 2 was last spotted with 164 of his 165 hit points. So what does that mean? That means that his AP shell is less than a 50-50 to be able to finish off the Tier 3 German tank destroyer in a single shot. However, remember, the Marder 2 is very lightly armoured, and by loading a high explosive shell, even though it's only got 43mm of penetration, that means that if he penetrates, he will be guaranteeing himself a kill on that tank, rather than being a sub 50-50 for penetrating the first shot. And so thinking through these things towards the end of the game is really, you want to give yourself the most chance to win, right? In these awkward situations where you're either 1 versus 1, 1 versus 2, you have to create your strategy. You have to create a plan to be able to give yourself the most possible opportunity to win the game. And figuring out how likely you are to be able to bounce a shot, and how likely you are to take out the enemy in a single shot, or at least how many times you're going to have to shoot them and penetrate them if they've got a lot of hit points, is very important. God, Soviet Panda doesn't know whether he's going to be coming from the right or the left. He keeps looking. He is making me very nervous. I'm sure you guys are very nervous here as well. Remember that Marder 2 has got excellent view range, I believe, still, especially if it's using binoculars, but a bit awkward to try and set the binoculars up. And it doesn't look like Soviet Panda has excellent view range. He might be using coated optics here. But the T-28, not the best tank when it comes to view range. Let's have a quick look. 350 meters? That is not excellent. That sneaky German could be anywhere. Gosh, Soviet Panda finally spots the Marder 2. He's right there. He doesn't even fire. They now know where each other are. How is this going to go down? It's come to this moment. 13 kills, 2,095 damage done that we have seen. I have never killed this many tanks in World of Tanks. Will Soviet Panda secure the Raseiniai Heroes Medal for killing 14 out of 15 of the enemy team? It all comes down to this corner. How is he going to do work? He's got to try and catch the... He's got to try and clip the top of the Marder's tank. And Marder knows it too. This is a very awkward standoff. Come at me, bro. No, you come at me, bro. Oh, Soviet Panda. Don't choke. Don't choke. The Marder 2 looks like he's getting bored. Comes around the corner. Soviet Panda misses. And he hits the dirt. Oh no, will the Marder 2 finish him? Doesn't quite manage to depress his gun enough to be able to take Soviet Panda down. And Soviet Panda secures his 14th and the one that everybody wants. Well, not exactly the Kolobanov's medal, but the one that no one gets is what we're going to call it. The Raseiniai Heroes Medal. What a cracking result for Soviet Panda here. Fair enough, this was low tier, but 14 kills is 14 kills. Well handled. Let's just take a quick look at the post-game stats. So Soviet Panda got 4,871 experience for his double here. That's amazing for a tier 4 tank, but wait, that was without a premium account. He got 1,597 base experience points here. Because he was playing a low tier premium, he gets a huge action payout and a bonus for being a premium vehicle. If he had had a premium account, this would be 7,067 experience for a double. Receiving a medal that even makes me jealous, the Raseiniai Heroes Medal, for destroying at least 14 vehicles in the course of a battle. To be able to get this, not only do you have to have kind of a game of your life, but everyone else on your team has to completely suck. But I'm very happy that the stars did align for you today, Soviet Panda. He also gets a high caliber, unsurprisingly, for 2,259 damage, which was more than the rest of his team combined. Soviet Panda 91, congratulations to you on this monster replay, and thank you so much for uploading it on replays.QuickyBaby.com. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video as well. If you did, please consider giving it a like down below. It really helps the channel out. And if you want to know more about the T-28E with the F-30, then simply click through up here and go through to a full tank review on the Tier 4 Soviet Premium Medium Tank. And just to clarify, my mod pack is now in version 4 for patch 9.14 due to Wargaming's hotfix shenanigans, which fixes issues like preventing you from buying tanks, the lack of the minimap lines, and also the latest one that the 6th Sense sound doesn't work. And you can find the download on my original 9.14 mod pack video. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.